Hi everyone, Suzina here. This is my guide to healing as a sorcerer in patch 1.2. I've separated the guide into 4 links, which if you have annotations enabled in YouTube, you should be able to click which link you want to go to which section. Over here on the left, I have a section on gear in patch 1.2, the new stuff that's coming out with the patch. In this section here, I have a section on interface, which altering your interface is something you can do in patch 1.2, so it's definitely an important part of becoming a better healer in patch 1.2. Over here, I have what some might consider the most important thing, my opinion on how to deal with the nerf to our power regeneration and our throughput in patch 1.2. The too long didn't read on this one is we just AoE heal our way through it. And over here I have something a little different. I have a look at a new build that I've been playing with, trying it out in different people's characters, and it's a combination lightning build and corruption build. It doesn't have the AoE heal, so it's very different from this, but it's a very, very power efficient heal. Picks up the power efficiency skill, what is it called? Lightning Infusion, along with Innervate. And between the two of those, you just basically don't run out of power, but you can't AoE heal. So that's my guide here. Just go ahead and click on the link. If you don't click on the link, that's fine. We're going to get right into the gear section coming right up. This section of the guide will be focused on gear in patch 1.2. So we're located on Viking Space Dock here in the supply section of the space station. You'll notice that the Crisis Point vendor here is new, and he sells 2 different kinds of gear. One gear, campaign gear, is a drop. You get the token, you bring it in, it's just like your Kalumi Rakata stuff. And you can get this stuff from the new raids. The other one is he also sells something that is not a drop, Black Hole Commendation gear. This is a type of token you save up in the same way you save up Kalumi commendations. There was a big blow up on the forums about the fact that you can get some of these through daily missions in the new Corellia Black Hole area. But just because they're called Black Hole commendations doesn't mean you get them for doing solo quests over in the Black Hole daily commendation area. The way it works is there is a weekly quest which requires you to do some of the heroic quests in the daily Black Hole area, and that quest will give you some daily comms. But it's not like you just go in and do some solo quests and you get this great rating 146 gear with all these cool stats on it. The tooltips are kind of busted a little bit in patch 1.2 on the test center right now. Hopefully they're fixed before this goes live, but I cannot show you the set piece bonus on the new campaign gear, or really the stats actually on a lot of the pieces. They're just not showing up on some of them. I can tell you that the campaign gear and the Black Hole gear, although they're both rating 146, they do have different stat prioritization. So one might have more willpower, one might have more endurance. At least that's what it looks like right now to me, but tooltips are busted, so we can't say. Let me hop over to the teleport over to the combat training section. Alright, through the magic of stopping the recording, we're here at the combat training section of the space station, and we're here at the War Hero PvP vendor. Clicking on him, you'll see that he sells all kinds of different War Hero gear, and they have weird prices. By weird, I mean it will cost you a Battle Master piece of armor in order to get the War Hero equivalent. So you got to get your Battle Master gear first. That's your first step to getting War Hero gear, because you literally trade in your Battle Master gear in order to get this ranked Warzone gear. This ranked Warzone gear, though, War Hero gear, also does require ranked Warzone commendations. You'll notice up at the top of this tooltip that I can't move my mouse up there because it'll change tooltips, but it says 2,775 ranked Warzone commendations are required to get this thing. It doesn't mean you have to win the majority of your matches. It doesn't mean you have to, do so well and have this great rating in order to have this gear. You will get this stuff eventually if you play enough ranked Warzone matches. You will get the commendations. Now, if you want to show off to people and prove that you have a great rating at PvP, that's why they added this stuff called the rated War Hero gear. Rated War Hero gear, it has open mod slots on armoring, mod, and enhancement, and it also requires a certain PvP rating. And that can be your solo rating, your duo rating, whatever. You know, this can be your full group rating. It requires you get a good rating in one of those types of things to prove that you're really good at PvP. And it's just show-off gear. It's also kind of something you, even if you want to show off, you're not going to be working on for a long time because it requires rated Warzone commendations. And those rated Warzone commendations are critical to actually upgrading your actual stats in PvP. So this is really late game, real show-off type of stuff when someone inspects you, or if you get to know what that armor set looks like, you'll be like, wow, look, that person is wearing that rated Warzone gear, and it looks, you know, well, weird. But you can see the, just from, it does that color difference, see how one's one color and the other is a slightly different shade. So if you really got to know it, if you really got to know your different armor sets, you could tell from a distance who's in the rated Warzone gear. And it has a ton of expertise on it. I don't know why they have so much expertise in the War Hero gear and the Battle Master gear these days, but every piece has expertise on it, and it's quite a bit of it. So let's talk about champ gear. You'll notice that the champion vendor, oh, good, they changed his name. He actually said champion vendor as recently as yesterday, but they changed it to say recruit vendor. And this is totally appropriate because this guy doesn't have any kind of champion gear on him. What he has is recruit gear. And the recruit gear is available for credits. It's really just something, if you've got a fresh 50, this is something that you can just take money from your main who's been doing dailies, who's got millions of credits, dump it onto your alt, and buy them a set of gear right off the bat. All it requires is you be level 50, and it has quite a bit of expertise on it. So it'll be make you just great for PvP. The Battle Master gear is over here, and here you can see the Battle Master gear. The new way they do expertise. Let me see if I can link this so I can show you. There, okay. So now I can kind of hover my mouse around. The new way they do expertise gear, you'll notice it has 25 expertise here on the mod, 25 expertise here on the enhancement, and 50 expertise here on the armoring. So this really kind of defeats the idea that people were going with in patch 1.1, which was PvP was a great way to gear up for PvE. You would go out, get your champion gear, pull a couple of the mods out, and slap them into your tiny set or something like that to have something that's better than Tiny's but not quite gloomy. And then they do the same thing, swapping mods out from PvP. Sometimes they'd be better than the stat prioritization on what you had from your actual PvE gear set. So, you know, that's something people were doing. Won't be able to do it as much because that expertise, it's kind of like empty calories. That's taking the place of a better stat that you might want in PvE, or not better, but a more PvE rating focused stat. So you'll find that although it's rating 58, it could be inferior to something else. And if you've played WoW, or you're used to this idea that PvP gear is, you know, the same rating, has a level, an item level of some kind, but it's somehow weaker. Okay, I'm here on Ilum at the Daily Commendations vendor, mission support vendor. And I'm going to show you what she now sells in patch 1.2. These inheritance items that you'll see here, you'll want to check out the vendor on Andromeda cost for the other key to this, but this is if you wanted to gear up your companions and you didn't get the drop. This is, you could buy the construction kit with dailies. So this is kind of an expensive way to gear up your alts, but that's something. There's new relics for all your daily comms. For example, you know, let's see, where's a good one? Something with like 84 endurance, but also does a good clicky, like this one. Has power on it. That's pretty cool. So there's new stuff for you to get with your daily commendations. It's 200 a piece, so it's kind of expensive, but you have new dailies to do. So you have your Corellia dailies, and you have your Ilum dailies. So I'm going to stop the recording for a sec, and then we're going to look at the user interface. All right, this is the user interface I like to have as a healer. You can see my target right now, right there, that sorcerer. You can see when he's casting Force Lightning, it appears right here in my face. That allows me to interrupt him if I want to very easily, because it's very obvious to me that what he's doing. Meanwhile, my own cast bar actually appears down here. So if it appears right down here, and so I do get that information as well. My target of target is up here. You'll notice this guy has got some chist targeted, so we're facing the Empire here. And my target of target cast bar is up here. The target of target has to be enabled manually, but it's so important. And you could just target the boss, and you'll see the tank right here, or if it's not the tank who's being targeted by the boss, you'll see their face right there. Even if it's for a split second, you'll see the change right here, and you'll know when aggro is switched, which is highly, highly important as a healer. Look, there it switches to somebody new this guy's targeting. And if the, let's say you targeted the tank or something like that. Let me see if I can find a friendly. And he's targeting the boss. You'll see when the boss is casting an ability, if it has a cast bar of some kind, which is highly valuable because it lets you know when that big hit is coming. You even see things like Mind Trap up here. It's wonderful. With Bone Thrasher, it's even better because although Bone Thrasher has a random aggro table in Karagas Pit, you'll notice that he changes his target before he ever hits anybody. So you'll see his target and you'll be able to preemptively throw heals, dots, static barriers, whatever, on whoever Bone Thrasher is about to hit. So target of target makes your life as a healer much, much easier. Alright, other things I want to mention about the user interface here is how to turn on and off health text. So you'll see here in the interface section, if I click on Ops and scroll down, I can enable and disable health text, and that makes things a lot easier as a healer. I like having the target not show up unless you have a target. You'll automatically acquire a target if someone's attacking you, so that's handy because if I am not targeting anyone, put my hands up, hit escape again. You know, as soon as someone hits me, I can see exactly who's hitting me right here. Although they've already switched to this guy, I guess. So, yeah, I guess they did switch targets. So I could already see that they'd already switched targets, where if I didn't have that up, I wouldn't know if they were targeting me or not. And just in general, having everything near the middle of the screen here is ergonomically easier on your eyes and ergonomically easier on your mouse. You don't have to move as far to click. And it might sound like a really small thing, but when you have to click thousands and thousands of times, over the course of your gameplay, it starts to add up. Like even just how many heals do you do in a raid? You do quite a few, and if you have to click all the way over here to target a new person each time, and then all the way down here to heal, you're going way slow. So better to bind your skills so you don't have to map anything to your mouse. Still use your mouse for ops, because I don't know any other way to get all these different people targeted than your mouse. But it's all right here in the middle, and you can switch very fast and do all your different skills. So that's my user interface section of the guide. Alright, so enough talk about gear and items and things like that in patch 1.2. Let's talk about how to deal with the healing nerf to sorcerers in patch 1.2. Yes, our healing has been noticeably nerfed. Our throughput has been nerfed because you can't just do, as we are here in patch 1.1.5 on this character, a force bending buff to get a double proc of Dark Infusion at such a low cost. I mean, that was a ton of healing in a short amount of time. Won't be able to do that anymore in patch 1.2. So that's one problem. So our throughput is down, and we don't really have a good way to deal with that. In addition, the problem that everybody's raging about is a lack of force regeneration. Sorcerers already have the worst regeneration in the game in terms of classes. We regenerate 8 force points per second, whereas, a basic heal costs 51 force power. That's a long time to wait for a single heal if you are empty on your bar down here. So we already have the worst. Our way of dealing with it before was simply to do Resurgence and Innervate to get a Force Surge, which then let us do Consumption without taking anything off our health. And there we go. Nothing off our health. Wow, free force power. Can't do that in 1.2. That has also been nerfed. Instead, you just won't have, if you do that same thing, you'll lose health, 15% of your health, but you just won't have this little 10%, 10-second debuff on you. Let's talk about that 10-second debuff, by the way, because some people are still going to be doing Innervate to get the Force Surge, and then they're going to use Consumption, and they're going to think, that it's still pretty good. Yeah, that's fine, but this debuff is nothing to worry about. It is a 25% debuff to your regeneration rate, which sounds bad, but as I just said, your regeneration rate is only 8 force per second. So over the course of this entire debuff, that adds up to a whopping 20 force power. Still less than you will get from a single consumption, less force power than you would need for a single heal. It's just a very small amount of force power to worry about. And you'll see a lot of sorcerers in videos. If you watch streams on the internet, they will refresh Resurgence all the time in order to get that force spending buff. They just keep refresh. And, while refreshing your dots is great, you can refresh it a lot more often than you need to, and it's going to eat up some power when you do that. So you need a better way to deal with the force regeneration problem, or your throughput will severely decrease because you spend half the time healing yourself. The way to deal with this, I say, is to AoE heal your way out of it. This is the simplest, best way. You don't have to change your build that much. Really not really much at all. Go ahead and grab the AoE healing buff and grab Empty Body. These two buffs are important because healing yourself equals force regeneration, because you can use consumption to get force back. So the more you can heal yourself, the better. 8% healing here is way better than getting a couple of percent healing here. Still, do not bother with this buff. I think the devs thought, oh, if we make them take damage every time, maybe they'll pick up this buff. No, of course we won't. We're healers. We'll pick up this one and this one. And we'll do this. We'll place down a healing ring on the ground within range of both the tank and ourselves. And we'll just stand at the outside edge of that to try and get as much distance from the boss as possible while still being healed by the ring. If you're raiding and have two sorcerers doing the healing, have both of them put down their healing rings on top of each other as often as possible so that you're healing both sorcerers as they take damage and use their consumption to get their power back up. The fact that you'll be taking a lot of damage as a healer in order to get your power up increases the viability of using AoE healing on yourself as a healer. AoE healing becomes cost efficient the more people are healed by it. So if you're going to be taking damage, the tank is going to be taking damage, and possibly other melee near the boss as well. Throwing down a healing ring and standing nearer to melee range may be the best option for a sorcerer healer. In addition, your rotation should make room to cast Innervate on the tank as often as possible. This is one of our most cost-efficient heals, and it also heals pretty decently as well. And even without the force bending buff from Resurgence, you will still get crits on Innervate, which will allow you to avoid that 20 force power debuff that you get when you use Consumption. The skill Dark Heal is cost inefficient and doesn't heal for very much, and it doesn't benefit from the force bending buff very much. It just increases its crit, and as we have Recklessness, we can guarantee a crit whenever we want, so it's not that useful. You really don't need Dark Heal very much for PvE. So go ahead and throw that one heal off of your bar if you want to. Dark Infusion is a relatively good heal even without the force bending buff. So you don't always need to needlessly refresh a hot on the tank just so you can have the force bending buff so you can cast Dark Infusion. It may actually just be quicker for you to cast Dark Infusion and get that heal off. Or if you need a lot of throughput, cast Recklessness first, then do 2 Dark Infusions. This will guarantee a crit, pretty much guarantee a crit on your Dark Infusions, and allow you to heal the tank for over 10,000 in a relatively short amount of time. so you've seen how to deal with the power consumption issues coming in patch 1.2 for sorcerers by simply throwing down revivification and AoE healing your way out of the damage you take. That's overall the best way to deal with the power consumption issues. It's the simplest, and it's what I recommend. It's also the most raid-friendly build, because there are lots of fights that do require AoE healing, such as SOA on hard or nightmare mode. However, there is other ways that you can deal with the power consumption issues. One of them is a DPS healing hybrid, which I call Healing Effusion. What Healing Effusion does is it drops Revivification at the top, so no more AoE heals, no more Force Surge, because let's be honest, it's not that valuable anyway. Dropping the bonus healing by 6% and chance to hit with abilities, and just staying at Innervate and stopping there. What this allows you to do is go over to the DPS Lightning branch and go all the way up to Lightning Effusion. And this is why this is called Healing Effusion. Lightning Effusion is a wonderful ability that, when you have a crit, will grant your next two abilities at 50% cost. So this really does help you deal with the power consumption issues. Strangely and ironically, it's, well, perhaps fittingly, because it's in the DPS build, you have to do attacks to get that crit. A healing crit doesn't count. So every so often, you'll have to do something that gives you a crit. What is most likely to give you a crit? Force Lightning is likely to give you a crit. Force Lightning has multiple ticks, and if any one of those ticks crits, you will get Lightning Effusion, or your next two Force abilities will be at lower damage. So what you end up doing with this weird hybrid build is you'll go ahead and do Force Lightning right off the bat, 28 force power spent. Then you'll go ahead and perhaps put on Resurgence to get the armor buff and the force bending buff, and then you'll top it off by doing Dark Infusion. The Resurgence and the Dark Infusion, as long as you get a crit on the Force Lightning, will be at 50% cost. Additionally, in patch 1.2, your Resurgence will decrease the cost of your Dark Infusion further. So this is a fantastic way to deal with the healing power consumption problems in patch 1.2. Using this particular build, you don't ever have to use consumption during a fight at all, ever. In fact, you shouldn't, because you're not healing yourself at all, probably. You're probably just focusing on the tank, or your companion, or the other three people in the flashpoint. This is a build that's really great for flashpoint healing, speed runs. If you're trying to two-man flashpoints, this is a really good build, such as if you're two-manning Black Talon or something like that. It just doesn't have the AoE healing, basically. But in terms of power consumption, it's golden. So I'm going to go ahead and do a fight here on Belsavis. I'm going to try not to use my force bending buff. If it comes up, I'm going to try and click it off, because this is patch 1.1.5, and I don't want to do the heals extra fast. I just want to show you the decreasing cost power of Lightning Effusion. So we're going to try and do that. Try not to use Resurgence too much, because that just makes the fight more complicated. Alright, so here we are in patch 1.1.5, and we're going to try and use this healing / DPS hybrid build to heal Chemball as he solos this heroic 4-man for me. So Chem, why don't you go ahead and go in there and fight him. So I'm going to start off with a Force Lightning, hoping to get a crit, which I didn't get. Bummer. Let me heal up Chemball slightly. Go back and try and get a crit again. There's a crit, so I get Lightning Effusion, you can see. And that gives me 2 heals for free, so I'm going to do Dark Infusion and Dark Infusion. And let's see if I can get another Force Lightning. There's another free Lightning Effusion, or what you call it, so I'm going to do 2 of those. Heal up Chem. Let's make him my focus target, actually. And I'll give him an Innervate when I can as well. I'm doing another, there's another one. I should probably put Resurgence on him. So I'll use that as one of my 2 free things. And then go back and do another attack and see if I can get another free thing. I didn't, but I gotta go back to my tank and heal him up, or he'll run out of health. So let's do a couple of big heals. It's getting a little low, so I'm gonna go ahead and use Recklessness, which will guarantee me a crit. And I can top him off pretty well. And then go back to try and get some free force power. Nope, still not. What is my crit at? Try again. There we go. There's my free 2 heals, so use this on Chem. Got Lightning Barrage up, so might as well use it. Get another free 2 heals. Use it on Chem again. If I haven't already, I'm going to fast forward this battle because this goes on for a while. Phew. Okay, that's done. Sorry that took so long, and sorry about the low quality. I had to lower it so that you could kind of see the whole fight in case you wanted to see it. And I could have done that fight better, obviously, but you know, that's the build basically. If you run out of power, you just hit Force Lightning if you're down to not a ton of force left, and Force Lightning doesn't cost a ton, as you can see. Use that, and you will go ahead and get that effusion, so you get the free heals, and the free heals keep your tank alive. And one more thing I want to tell you about the healing effusion build is how to DPS. You'll notice that I went ahead and picked up the Lightning Storm and Chain Lightning. These are not mandatory, of course, because really you're going up the tree to get Lightning Effusion so that you can heal cost effectively. However, you've got Chain Lightning and you've got Lightning Storm. You might as well use them. So by using some lightning strikes, or perhaps doing a force storm if there's a ton of enemies, you can get a free chain lightning and pop it off, and it does pretty decent damage, especially since you've got the force diffusion over here for the extra 10%. Are you going to do as much as one of these hybrid DPS builds? No, you're not. You're going to be noticeably below them. But that's okay. You have tons of versatility. You can go backup heal, you can heal yourself, and you don't have power issues. So that was my guide to healing. Again, if you want to see a different section, go ahead and click on the link down here. And thank you for watching.